The next morning, I checked out of the hotel early and headed home. After returning to D.C., everything returned to normal for a while, until 2 months ago. On a Saturday evening, my wife was out with friends, and I decided to go downtown to see the latest movie. It was pouring rain, so I figured the best way to get there was by metro. Once I arrived, I took the escalator up from the station into the city. Alongside the wall, I noticed someone watching me as I went past. I couldn't tell what they looked like because their face was covered by a hood. I hesitated momentarily, thinking I might know this person. I stopped, turned around and looked back, hoping they would remove the hood. Suddenly, I felt something strange happening. Everything started going dark. I realized I was not able to move. It felt like I was trapped inside my own body, looking through a window pane at my own life. Moments later, I found myself floating above the ground, still paralyzed. Looking down, I could see the man's feet wearing black shoes, and his hands in his pockets with his fingers slightly curled. Seconds later, the darkness lifted,
The speed limit is
revealing the
55
full
miles
figure
per
before
hour.
me.
Slow down.
The guy stood 6'2" inches or taller, with a skinny frame and long arms that dangled at his sides. His fingers were extremely long, reaching almost below his knees. He had a short, stubby nose and a small mouth that was barely noticeable. His skin had a leathery appearance all over. I thought this guy must be some sort of monster. I then heard a familiar voice saying, "Don't worry." It sounded like my wife telling me that she loved me. I turned toward her, seeing a woman wearing a white gown. As quickly as it appeared, both the woman and the gown. Later, I learned that other witnesses apparitions. Many describe them as shadow beings moving in and out of buildings. Eyewitnesses say these beings are often observed during daylight hours. I know this sounds crazy, but it is what I experienced. I just don't have any idea why it's happened to me so much. Like, am I losing my mind? Is there something in my wife's drinking water? Honestly, it's like we're cursed, and I don't say that lightly. I'm really starting to think that's what's happening to us. Please send prayers. So there was, just hanging out at my parents' place in Western Connecticut. This was back in the late 80s, and I remember it like it was yesterday. We had this old farm by the National Forest, which meant we got all kinds of wildlife visiting. Bear, you name it. The house was right up against this forest, which was mostly deciduous trees, oaks, maples, and a whole bunch of birch. The rest of it was about an acre, cleared out for blueberry bushes pretty much everywhere. So it was two fenced-off bits. One was around the garden to keep the rabbits out, with their hutches on stilts along the edge. And the other was this bigger area that we'd fenced off from the woods. It was about half an acre and was where we kept the chickens, right behind the big grape arbor. The whole property was ringed by these old stone walls, not the kind made by man. I'm talking about the kind that were put together centuries ago. Just big granite boulders stacked on top of each other. They made all these little caves underneath, which was pretty cool. Anyway, this one day in the summer, I was there by myself. Both my folks were at work, which left me to look after the place. It was a normal enough day at the start. I fed the rabbits, checked on the chickens, watered the plants, and then I just sat down to chill for a bit. It got real quiet all of a sudden. The birds were chirping, and even the dogs that were barking in the distance shut up. It's eerie. Then Rudy comes back, and he's not himself. He's got his tail between his legs. His ears are down, and he's got this look on his face. He's scared, really scared. And out of nowhere, there's this huge thud, followed by this crashing sound, like something massive had just dropped from one of the trees. The whole thing happened so fast, it's still a blur when I think back on it.
The speed limit is 45 miles per hour.
I'm chilling
Slow
with
down.
my iced tea, and the next, there's this huge crash from the garden. Rudy and I just bolt straight up. We turn around to see what the heck made that noise, and that's when we see it. There it was, standing in the garden, not even 20 feet from where I was. This thing was huge. I'm talking 7 feet tall at least, covered from head to toe, in this dark shadow. That's what I remember. clearly. It was almost bare, with just a layer of skin, no hair at all, and the eyes weird yellowish color, glowing almost. It was kind of dim to me, but those eyes stood out like they had their own light or something. The rest of it, though, I couldn't make out too well. What with the shadows and the leaves and all. I couldn't move. I just stood there. Scared out of his mind. We must have stood there for what felt like forever, until it broke eye contact and charged at us, growling like something out of a nightmare. I snapped out of it then, grabbed the first thing I could find, a big stick, and started swinging it over my head, backing up and yelling as loud as I could. But this thing, it didn't even flinch, just kept coming at us. I kept backing up until I hit the stone wall, and man, I fell hard. Hit my back and got knocked out cold for a second. When I came to, it was right there, inches away from me, growling and showing its teeth like it was about to attack. But then, everything slowed down, like some weird slow-motion movie. I could hear every little sound, the insects, the leaves, even my own breathing sounded weird and far away. It was like time had stopped but was still going. And then it pounced, landing right on me, heavy as a boulder. I thought that was it for me. I tried to push it off, but it felt like pushing against a mountain. I looked up into those eyes again, thinking this was the end. But then, just like that, things snapped back to normal speed. Somehow, I got a burst of strength, or maybe it let up a bit, but I managed to get away. Instead of coming, it disappeared into the woods. Went right after it, jumping the fence and chasing it down. I ran after them, heart pounding, feet barely keeping up with the fear and adrenaline pumping through my body. I got to the edge of the woods, scanning the dense thicket for any sign of movement, any hint of Rudy or that thing. But there was nothing, just the sound of my own breath in the forest around me, alive with sounds that were now just background noise to my panic. They had vanished into the trees, as if swallowed up by the forest itself. I stood there for what felt like hours, calling out for Rudy, my voice growing hoarse. The sun began to set, and that's when I heard it, the familiar jingle of Rudy's collar. I turned around, and there he was, coming out of the trees, looking a bit worse for wear, but unharmed. Relief washed over me like a flood. I didn't care about that creature anymore. I was just glad to have my dog back. We walked back to the house, Rudy sticking close by my side. Both of us spooked and still on high alert. I double-checked all the fences and made sure the gates were secure before we went inside. That night, I didn't sleep much, replaying the day's events over in my mind. What had it been? Why did it run? And did Rudy do out there all alone? I had no answers, just a deep sense of gratitude that it hadn't gone another way. The mystery of that day is still with me, even though I lost Rudy going on 25 plus years now. It's my own strange tale of the Connecticut woods that I'd carry with me forever. It was a regular night, just like any other. I was heading home from work, driving through Elk County, Pennsylvania. I live right outside of Benazet, a small town where everyone pretty much knows everyone. The road home is one I could drive with my eyes closed. Not that I would ever try it, but you get the idea. It's this winding road, lined with thick trees on either side, pretty isolated and quiet, especially at night. So there I was, it must have been around midnight. I just passed the local cemetery, a spot that always gives me the creeps, even though I don't believe in that sort of thing. The moon was full and bright, casting this eerie glow everywhere. It's funny how a full moon can make even familiar places look different, almost otherworldly. As I rounded a bend in the road, something caught my eye. At first, I thought it might be a deer or an elk. We have a lot of them around here. But then, this thing, whatever it was, stepped onto the road, right into my headlights. And man, I realized then it was no deer. Describing it is tough. It's like trying to explain a color you've never seen before. The best I can do is say it looked like some kind of skinless dog or coyote. But with a twist, it had human-like features. Its hair was long and black, but its face, It was more human than animal.
The
It
speed
was
limit is
running on
30
all
miles
fours
per
at
hour.
first.
Slow down.
But then, as it hit the pavement, it stood upright and started sprinting. This thing, it was bizarre. Its arms were really long, and its hands were like a mix between paws and human hands. Its hips were wide, and its legs short, so when it ran, it was more of a hopping sprint. I can't even guess how fast it was moving, but in just a blink, it crossed the road and vanished into the trees. I couldn't process what I'd seen. My mind was racing as I drove past the spot where it disappeared. All I knew was that I wanted to get home, fast. I didn't speed, but I was definitely pushing the limit. Once home, I locked everything. Windows, doors, you name it. Sleep was out of the question that night. I was too wired, too freaked out to even think about closing my eyes. The next day, still shaken, I called my brother. He lives about 10 miles away. I asked him to come over so we could go back to that spot, see if we could find any clue about what I saw. So, there I was, the day after the sighting, standing with my brother at the spot where this whole crazy encounter went down. We scoured the area, looking for anything out of the ordinary. But aside from that weird smell, there was nothing. It was like whatever I had seen had vanished into thin air, without a trace. My brother, he's always been more open to this stuff than me. He listened to my story, nodding, not even surprised. Turns out he's had his fair share of weird encounters in the area. He started telling me about the strange noises he's heard at night, the shadows he's seen moving in the woods, stuff that he never mentioned before because he thought I'd just scoff at it. We spent a good part of the day just walking around, talking about what this thing could be. My brother's theory about a portal or gateway wasn't just some random idea. He'd been piecing together stories from around town, old legends, recent sightings, and strange occurrences. According to him, there's a long history of unexplained events in these woods. Disappearances, strange lights, eerie sounds, you name it. Now, I'm not saying I became a believer right then and there, but I couldn't ignore the mounting pile of questions. This wasn't just some random, isolated incident. There was a pattern, and it was getting harder to just brush off. The more we talked, the more curious I got. I started doing some research of my own. I hit the local library, scoured the internet, and even chatted with some of the
The
older
speed limit
folks
is
in
30
town.
miles per hour.
The stories
Slow
I heard
down.
were all over the place, some too bizarre to take seriously, but others had this ring of truth to them that was hard to ignore. One thing that kept coming up in my research was the term skinwalker. It's a legend among Native American cultures, a being capable of transforming into, possessing, or disguising itself as an animal. The description sort of matched what I saw, but I wasn't ready to jump to conclusions. Nights became a bit restless for me after that. Every sound outside my window made me jump. I kept my curtains closed, my doors locked. I even started taking a different route home from work, avoiding that stretch of road where I saw whatever it was. My days were consumed with trying to find answers. I started taking walks in the woods during the day, of course. I wasn't about to wander around after dark. I'd look for signs, anything unusual. Most days, I found nothing. But there were moments, fleeting glimpses of something off in the distance, or a strange noise that I couldn't quite place, that kept me searching. This whole thing, it started taking over my life. My friends noticed I was distracted, always lost in thought. I tried explaining it to a couple of them, but I could tell they didn't really believe me. Can't say I blame them. If it hadn't happened to me, I wouldn't believe it either. It's been a while now since that night, and I still don't have any concrete answers. But I've come to accept that there are things in this world that can't be easily explained. I don't know if I'll ever see that creature again, and I'm not sure I want to. But I know what I saw, and it's opened my eyes to the possibility that there's more to this world than what we see. As for that stretch of road, I still avoid it. Maybe one day I'll be brave enough to drive it again at night. But for now, I'll stick to the long way home. It's funny how one experience can change your whole perspective on things. I used to laugh at stories like this. Now, I'm the one telling them. My wife and I were in Big Bend National Park in Texas last year, at the end of April. We decided to take a trip down there to see if we could spot any of the unusual creatures that have been reported there over the years. I had read about the Marfa lights, also known as the Marfa ghost lights, and thought it would be interesting to investigate some of these strange phenomena that have been reported for many years. I was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas in El Paso, back in 1969 to 1970, and remembered hearing stories about these lights. It seemed like every time someone mentioned them, they also talked about being chased by something out in those hills. As far as my knowledge on this subject is concerned, I don't think anyone has ever really explained what causes these lights, or who or what is chasing people around out there. There seems to be a lot of folklore connected with both phenomena. We left our home near Tucson on Monday and drove half of the 9+ hour trip, and we arrived at Big Bend early Tuesday afternoon. We checked into one of the cabins within the park boundaries, then went up into Terlingua, a small town just a bit northeast, then drove it further to La Kiva Bar and Restaurant to grab a bite to eat before heading back to our cabin for an early evening sleep. The next day, we started hiking around after breakfast until mid-afternoon when it got too hot. Texas at this time is already 90 degrees. As nightfall approached, my wife wanted us to head up north from Panther Junction towards Persimmon Gap, where she heard reports that people often saw shadowy figures running alongside their vehicles. She thought it may have something to do with skinwalkers, which she read quite a bit about while living in Arizona, but it was getting too late, so we gave up on that idea. I asked one of the rangers about any sightings or reports concerning Bigfoot in the area. He told me that there have been many stories over the years, but nothing substantial except for tracks found here and there. I thought this was interesting information. The only problem they had was trying to determine what made those impressions on the ground. We got back to our camp around 9 p.m., opened up all windows, then went outside onto the porch area with binoculars and my camera mounted on a tripod. We waited until close to midnight when it started getting really dark. You know how bright it can get in Big Bend. It's bright because of all those stars. As we looked across towards Mexico where we were sitting, I noticed an orange light coming from below us. Grabbed her phone and then called her friend Lucy. After hanging up, she explained that Lucy's husband witnessed something similar several years ago near Study Butte while he was driving home late at night. He told her about these two lights chasing him down the highway before suddenly disappearing as he crossed into Presidio County. Anyway, at this point we were both tired and nothing concrete had happened, so we headed back inside the cabin to hit the hay. So the next day, we decided to return to the park. My wife seemed a bit disappointed. She had hoped for a close encounter with the unknown, something more than just lights in the distance, and hearing about strange tracks. We walked around a bit, but still no sightings. That evening, we decided to give it one last try. We picked a spot near the Rio Grande, where it was quiet and secluded. As darkness enveloped the landscape, we sat there, just watching and waiting. Hours passed. Crickets chirped in the background, and the occasional howl of a distant coyote pierced the night. But the mysterious lights didn't appear. Instead, change, and the temperature dropped. We were about to call it a night when my wife nudged me. "Look," she whispered, pointing to the river. There, in the dim light cast by our camp lantern, we could see something moving across the Rio Grande. It was hard to make out, but it looked like a figure, but not human. It moved with an odd, fluid grace that was mesmerizing. I lifted the binoculars to my eyes, trying to get a better look. The figure was tall, and even at this distance I could tell it was covered in what seemed like fur. Or maybe it was just the shadows. It stopped mid-river, and it felt like it was looking right at us. My heart was racing, but I couldn't look away. "Do you see that?" I asked my wife, my voice barely a whisper. She didn't answer, just nodded, her eyes fixed on the figure. We watched as it reached the other side of the river and disappeared into the thick brush. We sat there for what felt like hours, neither of us willing to move or speak. Finally, I reached over and gently took her hand. "Let's go back to the cabin," I said. We packed up our things quietly and made our way back. When we got back to the
story you're
cabin, we
hearing
locked
is
the door
Jonathan
and sat on the
Gregg. Check out his
couch,
website,
listening to the
YouTube channel,
silence of the night,
and Lilith Gregg,
both excited
and Real
and a bit
Adventure.
scared of what we had seen. The next morning, we were
I
quiet
always
as
play
we
one of
packed up
those
the
in the
car to head
background when I'm
home.
live.
The drive back was
Well, I
uneventful,
appreciate all you
but the
people get
image
on
of
the
that
live
figure in the
stream.
river stayed
Since I have
with me.
zero,
I kept going over it in my mind.
I don't care.
It wasn't
I'm
until
staying
we were
live.
almost home that my wife finally broke the silence. "What do you think that was?" she asked. I shook my head. "I don't know."
I always end up catching something
But it
weird
sure
on
was
this trip,
something
and I never have it on
unbelievable,
video.
wasn't it?
So I'm
She
staying
nodded.
live all the way to
Yeah, there
Plymouth,
was
Michigan.
something. We haven't been back to
Well,
Big
it'll be
Ben
time
since
to lose
then.
my signal when I
But
have to restart it.
sometimes, when we're sitting outside on a clear night, I find myself looking up at the stars and thinking about it. The not knowing can be frustrating, but it's also thrilling, and that's okay. Sometimes, it's about the wonder and the
The
thrill
speed
of the
limit is
unknown.
45 miles
And
per
that
hour.
night,
Slow
at the
down.
edge of the Rio Grande, we got to do that. So, that's our story. It's not full of dramatic revelations or answers to age-old questions. But it's our experience, a shared moment that we'll never forget. And maybe, just maybe, that's more important than any answer we could have found. I am 47 years old, and I currently reside in Ohio. As a child, my family lived on an Army base in Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is home to the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD for short. Both my parents were officers in the U.S. Air Force. We lived in a housing area called Cody Village, situated right next to Cheyenne Mountain, where NORAD is located. Our house was against the mountainside of Cheyenne Mountain. One summer evening, around July or August of 1982, when I was about 10 years old, I fell asleep on our living room couch while watching TV with my mom and dad. My older sister and younger brother had already gone to bed. They were much younger than me at that time. My parents woke me up to tell me it was time for bed. As you enter our front door, there are stairs that lead upstairs directly across from you. The window in my bedroom faced the mountainside behind our house. The window was not very high off the ground, because our house was set far back into the hillside. There were two large pine trees between my bedroom window and the thick woods that stretched up along Cheyenne Mountain, starting about 20 feet away. After my parents woke me up, I walked up the stairs and over to my bedroom. I glanced out my bedroom window and saw something walking toward those two large pine trees from the woods beyond. Describing what I saw is difficult because it didn't resemble any natural creature that exists today. The closest description might be a werewolf-type creature, but even that doesn't quite capture it. It appeared taller than an average adult male, probably standing around 7 feet tall, and was walking on two legs. It had a wolf-like head, though more elongated than a normal wolf's, or anything you might see in a movie. Its face or head looked similar to an otter's, with sharp, pointy teeth. The creature itself didn't seem overly muscular, even though muscle was visible under its grayish-colored fur, which was lighter than that of a black bear. So I'm staring at this thing, and my heart is doing the samba in my chest, right? I mean, it's not every day you see something straight out of a monster flick in your backyard. But there it was, kind of just lumbering toward the trees like it's out for an evening stroll. And I'm stuck there, glued to the spot. I remember thinking I should shout for my folks, but part of me didn't want to make a sound. Like, what if this thing hears me? But then, what if it comes up to the house? I'm stuck in this mental tug of war when the thing stops by the pine trees. It just stands there sniffing the air. I'm thinking, okay, this is it. It's going to turn around, see me, and that's the end of my story. But it didn't. It looked confused, lost. It's hard to explain. Then, out of nowhere, it lets out this howl. Not the kind you hear in movies. Not that long, sad sound. It was sharp, quick, like it was annoyed or something. After that, it just turns and trots back into the woods. Just like that, as if it decided there was nothing interesting, and it was time to hit the road. I don't remember moving until I heard my dad call out, asking if I was coming to bed. My voice was a whisper when I said, yeah, I was on my way. I didn't tell them what I saw. I figured they'd say it was a dream or I was half asleep or something. The next day I went out to look at the trees, half expecting to find footprints or werewolf fur or something. There was
The
nothing.
speed limit is
No
55
prints,
miles per
no
hour.
broken
Slow
branches,
down.
nothing. It was like it never happened. But I know what I saw. I didn't sleep well for weeks after that. Kept looking out the window, expecting to see it again. But I never did. Sometimes I wonder if it was just passing through, or if maybe, just maybe, it was something from the mountain, from NORAD, something that got out. Who knows? Years went by and I joined the Air Force like my folks. Didn't stay in Colorado though. Moved around, saw the world. But I never saw anything like that creature again. I told the story a few times, to buddies over a beer. Most laughed, a couple looked like they believed me, or they wanted to. Now, here in Ohio, I hike a lot, always in the woods, always looking for something, anything that might explain what I saw that night. Never found an answer, but I'll tell you this, I never look at the woods the same way, especially not at night. And on the off chance that I hear something that sounds like a howl, I'm not ashamed to say I get that same little samba in my chest, just like when I was a kid. My name is Eric and I live in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. First, I want to express my admiration for your show and all things paranormal. In fact, I am currently working on a master's degree in parapsychology at DePaul University. Over the years, I've had a number of experiences, but one stands out because it involved multiple sober witnesses, at least until they saw what we did. This incident occurred about 15 years ago when my friends Chris and Dan still lived with their parents. Both have moved away since then, and we've lost touch, so I cannot get them to verify any details beyond my own recollection. One evening, we were all hanging out, drinking beers at their house, when Dan proposed a He suggested we visit Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, a place I'm sure you're familiar with. Initially, everyone asked him,
How will we be
but as time
familiar?
passed, most backed out, either due to fear or being too drunk to drive. In the end, only Mike, Dan, and I were determined enough to go. It took us about 20 minutes by car to reach the cemetery. The place looked very creepy, and everything was good. However, as soon as we stepped through the entrance gate, something felt off, akin to how animals might sense an impending earthquake. Without flashlights, we used our cell phones for light, which was adequate, albeit not very bright. After sauntering around for several minutes, capturing photos and joking about the lack of paranormal activity, Mike suggested we all sit down quietly together. Dan mentioned a rumor. If you bring flowers to Bachelor's Grove late at night, ghostly figures with bouquets would appear around a particular gravestone where many children were buried. We found dried roses on one such stone inside its fence railing. Dan picked them up from the ground and gave us one. While there, he pointed to our right, about 30 feet away. Large tombstone, flowers atop the grave, with flowers atop the grave, before vanishing entirely
The
next
limit
to
is
that
40
specific
miles per
site.
hour. Slow down.
I've never seen anything, nor have I seen. And that's when it hit me, the weight of the situation. Here we were, about ghosts and spirits, and now we were witnesses to something that defied reason. Dan was the first to break the silence, whispering, "Did you see their faces?" I hadn't, and neither had Mike. They were just too blurred, or maybe our brains just couldn't process what we were seeing. We sat there in stunned silence, the kind of quiet that screams in your ears. Then, without a word, we got up almost in unison, as if a silent signal had been given. Walking back to the car was a blur. Nobody spoke. It wasn't talking, shadow of factual reality we were into. It wasn't until we were safely an engine running that any of us dared to speak. Should we go back? Mike, I've read every book on the paranormal I can find, looking for an explanation. But nothing has come close. It remains an enigma, a true paranormal experience that I was part of. And maybe, in the end, some things are meant to stay unexplained. After all, isn't the mystery part of what draws us to the paranormal in the first place? sharing this for a while now, and honestly, I'm not even sure why I'm doing it. But here goes nothing. Please be easy on me. I'm not your typical outdoorsy type. I mean, I like a good walk in the woods as much as the next person. But I'm more of a, let's stay inside with a good book kind of guy. I work an average job in Little Rock, Arkansas at the city-county building. Nothing fancy, just a 9 to 5 pays the bills. It keeps me coffee and sandwiches. I live alone, which is by choice, mostly because I like the quiet. Helps me think because my head can get pretty crazy if I'm not relaxed. But there's one thing that's not ordinary in my life, not by a long shot. And it's the reason I'm writing this now. I never believed much in cryptids or creatures of legend. They were just stories you told around a campfire, or read on internet forums late at night when sleep eluded you. That was until last spring. It was a Saturday a few years ago, and I had driven out to the Ozarks to clear my head. The drive took me just over 3 hours. Work had been piling up, and the walls of my apartment seemed to close in on me. I needed to be somewhere open, somewhere I could hear the leaves rustle without the constant hum of the city in the background. Somewhere far from home. I found a secluded trail that wasn't too rough. The day was nice, a bit overcast, but the air was fresh, filled with the scent of pine and damp earth. I walked for a while, not really aiming to go anywhere particular, just walking to enjoy the solitude. I had reached a part of the trail that was bordered by thicker woods on one side, and a steep drop on the other. The path curved ahead, and I remember feeling this sense of apprehension as I approached the bend, like I was walking towards something I wouldn't be able to explain. As I rounded the corner, I saw it. It was standing, if you could call it standing, at the edge of the woods, partially concealed by a thicket. The thing was tall, taller than any man I've ever seen, and covered in scales that seemed to shimmer with a greenish hue that was almost sickly in the dim light. It had these piercing yellow eyes that were fixed on me, unblinking. I stopped dead in my tracks. My mind was racing, trying to rationalize what I was seeing. It wasn't a man, it couldn't be. The proportions were all wrong. Its arms were too long, hanging awkwardly by its sides, ending in what looked like clawed hands. And the head, it wasn't human. It was elongated, almost serpent-like, with a jaw that seemed to be set in a permanent grimace. All this, and not to mention that this thing had not clothes or shoes. We stood there, looking at each other. I couldn't move. I wasn't even sure I was breathing. All the sounds of the forest had faded away, and there was this suffocating silence that enveloped us. I felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. Then, slowly, the creature moved, not towards me, but parallel, as if it was giving me a wide berth. It was deliberate, cautious. Its eyes never left mine as it moved, and I could see now that its skin had this texture to it that I couldn't quite comprehend. It was like looking at a living mosaic, tiles of green and black shifting with each subtle movement. As it reached the other side of the path, it paused, and for a brief moment, I thought it would speak. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe because in all those stories, there's always a moment of revelation, a message imparted, but it just turned its head slightly, as if acknowledging my presence, and then it slipped into the woods. I stood there for a long time after it was gone. The sounds of the forest slowly returned, but they seemed hollow, like a facade that had been shattered and hastily put back together. I eventually made my way back to my car, and I drove home the 3 hours in a daze. I barely even remember the drive. I didn't sleep that night, or for many nights after. My quiet apartment felt too silent, and every shadow seemed to stretch just a bit too long. So, why am I telling you this? I don't know. Maybe I just needed to tell someone, even if it's strangers on the internet. Maybe I'm hoping someone else has seen what I saw, and I'm not alone in this. I went back to the trail one more time the following year, driven by a mixture of fear and fascination. But I've never seen the creature again. Sometimes I convince myself it never really happened. But then I remember those eyes, and I know it was real. Totally real. I was searching the internet for some strange occurrences that have happened in Yellowstone National Park, and came across your website. None of the stories I found seemed true or factual, particularly the one about a park ranger being chased by Bigfoot. This is why I decided to send you an email explaining my own experience that took place while visiting Yellowstone. I visited this beautiful national park back in 2012 with my wife. We were there for about a week, staying at a few different campgrounds. On our last night, we decided to stay at Grant Village Campground on the southwest side of Yellowstone Lake. We set up our tent right near where the showers and bathrooms were located, so we wouldn't have to walk far during the middle of the night if need be. We had spent most of our day exploring around Old Faithful and other geyser basins throughout the park before making it back to our campground later in the evening. It was already dark out when we arrived back from all of our adventures, and it was very quiet throughout most of the campsite area, probably because it was getting close to October. There weren't many people camping out at this time either, due to the colder weather setting in. As I said earlier, we set up camp near the shower bathroom facility, which sat adjacent to a large open field surrounded by forest on both sides, along with campsites lined around the edge as well, ours being the closest site toward the center or backside. My wife went into the tent shortly after arriving back, while I stayed outside cooking dinner over a fire pit nearby, near the pavilion-type structure of the next shower building. While cooking dinner, everything seemed normal until I noticed how silent it had gotten around me. Even though I could hear occasional vehicles passing by off-road every now and then, I still couldn't shake the feeling something wasn't right anymore. Being a former military police officer myself, having served overseas in Afghanistan during Operation Enduring Freedom several years prior, along with other combat zones during time spent active duty, as well as law enforcement afterwards, I have learned to trust my instincts over the years. And this was one of those times when gut feelings told me something wasn't right, especially being outdoors, where I could potentially face any number of dangerous situations. After about 10 minutes or so of cooking, I heard a faint noise coming from the woods behind me. It sounded like footsteps crunching on leaves and twigs. At first, I thought it was just an animal wandering around, but then the footsteps seemed to get closer and louder. The sound was definitely bipedal, and did not resemble any animal movement that I had ever heard before. I turned off my stove burner and grabbed my flashlight. I shined it in the direction of the noise, hoping to catch a glimpse of whatever was out there. But all I could see were trees and darkness. Then suddenly, everything went silent again. The silence lasted for what felt like minutes,
Slow down.
but in reality, it must have only been seconds. Then there was a loud crashing sound coming from the woods, followed by what sounded like heavy breathing. I immediately called out to my wife, who was still inside our tent. "Honey, wake up! There's something out here!" I unzipped the tent door and saw her sitting up with a worried look on her face. "What's going on?" she asked. "There's something in the woods," I replied. "I don't know what it is, but it doesn't sound friendly. Should we call someone?" she asked nervously. I considered calling park rangers or even other campers nearby for help, but part of me didn't want to risk leaving our campsite alone while waiting for assistance.
Turn left in half
Suddenly,
mile.
another crash came from the woods, followed by more heavy breathing. This time, though, there seemed to be some sort of rhythm or pattern to its breaths, as if whatever it was knew we were listening. My heart started pounding and fear began creeping into my mind. Without saying anything else to my wife, I quickly packed up our camping gear into our car that was parked next to us. Once everything was loaded up, we got into the car and locked it all up. As soon as the engine started running, the lights turned on and shone into the trees. That's when we noticed something standing near the
Turn
edge of
left
the
at the
tree
traffic
line,
light.
directly across from where we had been cooking earlier. It was a tall and dark figure that seemed to blend into the background so well that I couldn't make out any details other than its general shape, which appeared to be human-like. Its head appeared slightly pointed at the top, along with long arms hanging down its sides. As soon as I shined the high beams towards it, the creature quickly disappeared back behind trees. I
Turn
slowly
left
put the
at the
car in
traffic
gear
light.
and drove away from the campsite as fast as I could without losing control, or worse yet, hitting another camper or park worker. We didn't stop until we reached the main road several miles later. Eventually, we found another campground to stay at for the night, far away from where our encounter occurred. I still don't know what exactly happened that night in
Recalculating.
Yellowstone
In the big
National
city of
Park,
Portland.
but I am convinced that there was something out there watching us. Whether it was a
Prepare to
Bigfoot or
turn
some
left
other kind
in
of
0.4
creature,
miles.
I can't say for sure.
It'll say turn.
All I know
I've
is
had
that
Google on it say
whatever
turn
it was
left
gave me an
past the
eerie
gas
feeling.
station. No, it ain't. It's before the gas station.
I hope this story helps add to your collection of strange occurrences in Yellowstone. Thank you for taking the time to read my email. Sincerely, Derek.
Ambulances in town.
Turn left after the gas station.
So, I was out at my uncle's place in Oklahoma. He's got this big farm out in the boonies, the kind of spot where your phone's data signal connects to nothing. I was there for the weekend, doing the whole family bonding thing, helping with the harvest. That's a job and a half, let me tell you. So, there I was, covered in dust and sweat. Hauling
Turn
these
left
bushels
after
of
the gas
corn that
station.
felt like weights.
See, it
The
says
sun
after
was
the gas
dipping,
station.
and the whole place was bathed in that golden hour light, making everything look like a postcard from the good old days.
Prepare to turn left in 0.4 miles.
Dust types, and he was driving the tractor like a captain at sea, all stoic and focused. The rest of us were on foot, doing the grunt work and busting our butts. We were about done for the day when I spotted this dog, or at least I thought it was a dog at first, darting through the rows of corn like it was chasing
1,000 feet.
Being
Turn
the
left
animal lover
onto
I am,
North Middle
I
Street.
dropped my load and took off after it. Gonna save the day, I thought, like some sort of cornfield crusader. I crashed through the stumbling over clumps of dirt. Here, boy. Or,
Take the
here,
next
girl.
left onto
I mean,
North
I
Middle
didn't know
Street.
which it was. I could hear it ahead of me, rustling through the corn, and I was thinking the whole time, what's this
Recalculating.
dog doing out here all alone? Where could it have come from? But when I finally caught up to the thing, I wasn't at all
Drive
ready
2
for what I
miles.
saw. There in a little clearing was this thing. It wasn't any dog. It stood there on 2 legs, all casual like it was waiting for a bus. Not a care in the world. Its fur was matted
The speed
and messy,
limit is 30 miles
kind
per
of
hour.
dirty brown,
Slow down.
and it had these eyes that just looked at you
That
like
was
it
a quick-ass
peering into
green
your
light,
soul or
wasn't it?
something. I froze. My heart was going a mile a minute, but my brain was like, nope. The creature,
Go up there and
tilted
pick up
its
this
head,
36,000
kind of
pounds of
studying me,
tortillas.
I guess.
Take the
There
Plymouth
was no
whiskey.
sound but the corn whispering around us. I wasn't scared, not exactly. Confused, more like it. What was this thing? Why was it here? And why did it look so, I don't know, calm? For a long moment, we just stared at each other, and I swear it was like it knew me. Like it saw me standing there in my uncle's old t-shirt, jeans covered in dirt, and it was thinking, what's your story, buddy? Then, as if it decided I wasn't worth the trouble, it took a step back, and another. Its movements were smooth, deliberate. It wasn't scared of me. If anything, I got the feeling it was just knows how long, trying to make sense of this. It wasn't just some animal. It was something more. Past. And the encounter didn't fade like I thought it would. Hoped it would. Past. And the encounter didn't fade like I thought it would. Hoped it would. It stuck with me, clinging to the edges of my thoughts no matter how I was shaken. I did some research, some internet deep dives and all that, looking for anything that mattered.
Prepare to turn left in half a mile.
It was like trying to find a ghost. I went back to the but there was nothing. Just rows and rows of
As Tyson Road.
and it's smart enough to hide, to stay out of sight, to keep to itself so that it can stay a legend in the back of someone's mind. But I saw it.
Onto West Tyson Road.
Just me and my thoughts, trying to piece together this puzzle. I realize that there's so much out there we don't know about. So much we think
Prepare
is
to
just
turn right in
stories or
0.9
imagination,
miles.
but it's real. Sometimes I catch myself looking over my shoulder, half expecting to see it there, watching me, even if I'm not at the farm. It's never there. Still, it's like I can feel its presence, like a shadow just out of sight. My friends, they noticed something was up with me. I wasn't the same, always distracted, always lost in thought. They'd ask me what's wrong, and I'd just shake my head. Nothing, I'd say. Just tired,
Always
you know?
deer in it.
It wasn't nothing. It was this secret, this big, unbelievable secret that I couldn't share. Well, I finally found you and know that I can now share this and finally get it all off my chest. And I really want to thank you for that. was willing to hear me.
Wish I could record in the guard shack, guys, but I can't.
So, you know how it is, right? It would be refreshing, wouldn't it? Well, actually, not many people do think like that. But that's exactly what I thought.
In 1,000
Meanwhile,
feet,
I was
turn
looking
right
for something
onto
totally
UK.
different to happen.
God, what if I got
Something that shook me to my core. This wasn't my first solo trip. I've done it a bunch of times. There's this lake I like near where I live in Illinois that's really secluded, surrounded by woods, and it's usually dead silent.
Take the
at
next
night.
right onto
Perfect spot
UK.
for a guy like me who just wants to hear the sound of nothing for a while. I got there late in the afternoon, set up my tent, and had a couple of hot dogs over the fire.
You will arrive at your
Classic
destination
camping
on the left
food. So
in 600 feet.
Come on there. Man, it's getting windy as hell. We'll still keep the live stream going. I need the views. See, you got all these docks. Any other time they want it in the dock when it's hard to do. Now I gotta find a fucking hole where there ain't one. I'll drop this bitch back here in the middle.
Recalculating. Recalculating.
Look at this, not a hole nowhere.
Recalculating.
I have to drop this bitch back here in the middle of the lot. I mean, there ain't a fucking spot nowhere. Watch me, I'll back up and drop this motherfucker right in the middle of the lot.
Turn back where possible.
I'll back it up right over there.
Recalculating. Recalculating.
Think I'm bullshit. I'll drop this motherfucker right here. Yeah, we're gonna drop this bad boy. Right here. I can't find metal to stick my damn magnet to. Damn, somebody could tell me the phone fell down. Fixing the hard work. Somebody could have yelled at me, said, "Hey, Ron, the phone fell down." Let me watch that air gauge. Watch your heart dog get mad at me. Ain't nowhere else to drop it. He should have made me a spot. Now we got to find trailer for 2, 4, 5, 3, and I pretty much know where it's at. I guarantee you this will be it right here around the corner. There. As hell. It's going to be a mile over my fifth wheel. I don't know why they do this. I guarantee you it's a fucking mile and a half higher than my fifth wheel. Yep, as usual. Hold on, I'll show you what the fuck I'm talking about. They do it to us all the fucking time here. I guess nothing's changed. Look at that. Look at the gap. Look at that. That's bullshit. There's no sense in that. That's bullshit. And that shit'll tire you the fuck out. Sorry about that, I'd hook up my airlines. Now look at that. We can't get around that way. Sorry walking in fucking gravy. Can't get through there either. I guess I'll take the scenic route. Alright guys, did not mean to do that. I got too far away from my hotspot. I greatly apologize.
Tonight, Trump will be sworn into office in less than a month. I love having to say that to you. And not a moment too soon. Joe Biden has cemented his legacy as the most dishonest and disgraceful president in modern American history. His many decades in the Washington swamp have been marked by one egregious lie after another. He almost makes Bill Clinton seem like an honest and decent guy. But Joe's worst lie of all might be this claim from 2019 that Joe made over and over again. Watch this.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period. And what I will do is the same thing we did in our administration. An absolute wall between personal and private
Recalculated.
Do you stand by your statement that you did not discuss any of your son's overseas business dealings?
Yes, I stand by that statement.
You know, that seemed unbelievable at the time, but now, as it turns out, Joe and Hunter were actually photographed together with many of Hunter's international business partners over the years. And new tonight, with Biden set to leave office, the National Archives finally released more images showing then Vice President Biden on a 2013 trip to Beijing with his son.
It's on start-stop, and it's still about to run out of fuel. Look at that. A little less than a half, 2.5 and a quarter, I guess. Tires look good. At least this one's got mud flaps all the way around it. Off with the old seal, on with the good. Check these tires. I wish I'd have brought my flashlight. Thing looks good. Get my fingers out of the picture. What is this one?
To lower pictures pictured rubbing shoulders with many of Hunter's Communist Party-linked Chinese business associates. And there was even a photo with Joe Hunter and China's President Xi Jinping, America First Legal, sued for these images to be released from the National Archives. But for some reason, attorneys for both Biden and Obama, you can't make it up, reportedly took legal action to delay their release until after the election. Joining us now
in 700 feet, at end of the road, turn right onto West Thompson Road.
Another fabulous sentence. Stephen Miller, who led the effort to uncover these images. Stephen, the fact that you had to sue, the National Archives belong to the American people. They keep material that are relevant to this nation and the direction of the country and what our supposed leaders are doing to this nation. You had to sue to get these released. Now they're out. Tell me about what that process was like.
Yes, this is really outrageous.
Now we got some good country roads.
The National Archives are the archives of the nation. These records belong to the American people. My organization, America First Legal, that of course I'm leaving to go and be the Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy for President Trump in the White House, had to sue. The federal government had to sue the National Archives to get these records that prove that Joe Biden lied to the American people. And the National Archives, colluding with lawyers for Biden and Obama, refused to hand over these records till after the election because they knew how damning they were to the credibility of this administration and to the media that concealed and covered up for this administration. This is the same National Archives, Tammy, that created the illegal pretext for the FBI to raid Mar-a-Lago, the home and the private club of the 45th and 47th president. The National Archives is
great. Fucking trailer's got 3 clearance lights out on the right side. Top. Trailer 2453 has absolutely no clearance lights on the top right side. All 3 are out. And I'm sure I'm not the first driver that's noticed that on a pre-trip. Is nobody else pre-trip? Nope, I'm rolling with it because I got to get there. Don't give a damn. light's on the right side of the trailer. You know what? I'm gonna go wiggle the pigtail and see if I can get it to come on.
Turn right.
I feel like I'm gonna get muddy. Cody, I dropped my knife. I left it laying on the fucking wheel, I think. you for the light, Teddy. It's coming in handy tonight. My grandson bought me a light for Christmas. See, now I wish I'd have brought my fucking tools. Should have brought my fucking tools. Look at right there. That's my toes. Look up there. That's just this light. God damn. Fair play. Fuck me. lights too. No. See that, guys? I fixed it. Oh, it's pointing at me. Look. I fixed them. How long they last, I don't know. But they're working right now. Oh, Lord. Life of a truck driver. But we got them bitches working, boy. We got them bitches working, boy. Now we're looking for aliens and drones, baby. Aliens and drones, baby. You know what? I'm probably gonna have to hold the camera again because I want to show you guys all the fucking deer in this field down here. I mean, we're gonna be late anyways. I don't give a fuck. I didn't want to do the fucking load no how.
Recalculating. Prepare to turn right 6.9 miles.
Ah, fuck, they're back out again already. No, they're not. They're on. Yeah, they're all in this left field. They're out in the left field. Sorry about it getting dark, man, guys. I gotta find another flashlight. I get down here, I'm gonna stop, show you, because ain't no cars coming. I get down here, I'm gonna stop, show you, because ain't no cars coming. I guarantee you, right here in this corner of this field, there's all kinds of deer. Look, laying right there. Right there's a whole bunch of them. No more than that. Where the fuck they go? Yeah, there's always a bunch of deer right there. Man, on the way in, there was tons of them. What the fuck? Oh well. We got to get our ass to Plymouth, Michigan. Y'all can't look, but I can. See right there. Look at it. It's a person. The person in a fucking vest. There's deer. All kinds of.
In 1,000 feet, turn right onto State Route 67, West State Road 67.
I ain't got no fucking wire strippers.
Next right, 7.
Fuck all y'all motherfuckers, you don't want to check out my live stream. There's all kinds of shit going on tonight. Maybe I should go live on TikTok where I can get thousands of fucking people. But no, I want to stick with YouTube.
Here's turn left
You see a
in
car with one
1.7
headlight, it's called
miles.
Padiddle. Let's count the Padiddles tonight. There's one Padiddle for Ron. Anybody in the comments, if you see a Padiddle before I do, leave a comment. Padiddle, Padiddle. God damn, we got to turn some AC on. I'm fucking sweating. Now it's going to worry about the fucking lights. Man, I wish this fucking GPS would turn out darker. I can't believe how bright that motherfucker stays. Like that signal, we're staying live all the way to Plymouth, baby. Ain't this a bitch? Oh, I thought I lost my baby. I get lucky and see it's a fucking dog man out here somewhere. I got my 44 mag with me. I'm gonna shoot that bitch in the head. I don't know why all these people that say they see him and shoot him, they shoot him in the chest. Why? You want to kill something, you shoot it in the fucking head. Damn, the sky just flickered. That was weird. And you guys see that? The sky's flickering. Sky flicker. Damn, I ain't got my laser pointers with me. Or do I? Oh, I got my purple light.
Turn left at the traffic light.
I know I got my fucking laser.
Turn left at the traffic light. Prepare to turn left in 1.2 miles.
Get more people on here. I gotta get 3,000 hours so I can get monetized. God damn. I can't keep giving away money and not making any. I mean, if we used to get 25 people on this live stream tonight, that 25th person, I would send them $25. Cash app. Leave me your cash tag. I'll cash app you the money tonight. Number 25. Everybody leave a comment. Say 1, 2, 3. How about this? The 10th person, I'll send $10 to. If it hits 10, whoever, when I see 10 on the live stream, I'll automatically send $10 to the first 5 people on the live stream. I'll send $25 to the first 2 people. To the 5th person and the 10th person will get $25. It's only showing 2 right now. Showing 3. We're getting there. But when you get on the live stream, you got to put your cash tag on the comments so I know which one to send the money to. I get 25 people on there, and I'm telling you, The 10th person and the 25th person gets $25. But you got to comment with your cash tag. So that's the shit I do. I'm constantly giving money away on my YouTube channel. I don't know what
Turn left at the
I
traffic
know my
light.
content sucks because I've been sick. My daughter's got cancer. I mean, she's the most important thing in my life, to take care of her. So, I mean, I just want to go do fun things with her. She's a badass, man. She'll kick its ass once, she'll kick its ass again. My daughter is the strongest woman I know, man. She's awesome. She works every day. She goes to school. But all the prayers we can get from my baby
Turn left
Holly,
at the
man.
traffic light.
God, I love her so much. I don't know why it couldn't just be me and not her. And I'm still only two. That 10th person don't want that $25, I guess. Now we've got a long ways through the night to get there. We've made it up to 14 before. American Trucking. I'm gonna start using my American Trucking YouTube channel. Maybe it'll go up quicker.
Drive 41 miles.
Maybe I need to rename my channel. Ron and Amy's Crazy Life don't seem to be too popular. It's kind of stalled. I know there for a while YouTube was stalling me back because I put Trump stuff on there, and I guess only big channels can do that. Look at that fucking runway. I never knew that's a fucking airport right there. Did not know that. I took my dash cam down because I was filming with my camera. Hope I don't regret that. Yeah, we run 27 up here to 67. We take 67 to 33, or the 127 to 33, 33 to 75 north. We're going to get there a little before 4. If I hadn't had to fuck with them lights, we'd be on time. Get some more. Got $25 burning a hole in my pocket. Burning a hole in my cash app. You never know. Now we're down to 2 again. Like all y'all do. Don't like my live stream? Kiss my rosy red American ass. I don't give a fuck. Don't care. Goddamn, I can't see the road, man. I hate it when it's rainy like this. There ain't no reflectors on this fucking highway. Can't see shit. Man, I got perfect vision. Ole. Tired and I want to go to bed. I had me a drink about an hour ago, and I think it went right to my head. God damn, my car sounds like a slide. That's all I know, that's all. I hate this road. Horrible. There it goes, spinning again. do something to spark the romance again. Talking about that video with Karen, and it wasn't like I was hiding. Mary Beth. I probably went out there in the live stream. Keep it fucking secret. Better put my seatbelt on. Damn, I didn't know I was running below people on it. We're not too far. I knew. Somebody hit me on Instagram.
Recalculating.
I had me a GoPro I could put on my top of the trailer.
Drive 6 miles.
It always tries to turn me around right here. Just gonna go back, go 6 miles and turn around. Oh, we gotta have her behind me. I got all the other parts of the country say they're having drone sighting, but I ain't seen shit. I've seen 1 or 2 drones around Right Pat the last 2 weeks. I've seen 1 in Xenia. Got a little bit of it on video. See, as long as there's a car behind me, I got to do 55 because I don't know what's got. Very well could be the popo. I don't want to get pulled over. A whole lot of places to pull over on this wet ass shoulder. I don't know why I'm always extra nervous when it's wet. I get as nervous on a wet road as I do an icy road anymore. I know it's boring, guys. I'm doing everything I can to try to make some content. Get my 3,000 hours. I should have had over a year ago. What the hell was that on the side of the road? Standing over there. A utility box.